So here, this is Judy from the Black Elephant. I am experimenting on a liquid soap recipe that I've created, and I'm going to be adding my oils to my preheated crock pot. The oils that are going in, which have been heated in the microwave, are rice bran, coconut oil, castor oil, lard, and sweet almond oil. And they are going into my heated pot. And I don't check temperatures or anything like that. I'm pretty comfortable with how I do this. My variation today is going to include goat milk powder and salt in my lye solution. And my wonderful camera person today is my daughter, Isa. So while that's in the crock pot, I'm going to measure out my lye. And I'm using Summer Bee Meadows soap calculator, which is new to me. So it calls for a lot more water than I'm used to, but almost the same amount of potassium hydroxide as soap calculator called for. I'm going to be adding the potassium. And I already have dissolved about 3 ounces of salt in my water. Make sure that this is potassium. Yep. You need a steady hand. If you're not measuring your lye into a designated container, you do need to go slowly so that you don't over measure. Get that dissolved until clear, and then we'll pour that into our oils. And I will mention that a portion of my lye water I've withheld, and I've added it as glycerin already to my heated oils that are in the pot. I like that method of adding the glycerin to the oils instead of heating the glycerin and dissolving the lye into the glycerin, because I don't want to have to worry about having any weird reactions like bubbling over or anything like that. And supposedly the glycerin hastens the soap making process. I find that it does, so we'll see if it does today and doesn't make a liar out of me. And of course, you want to make sure that you are using safe soaping practices. Soaping in a well-ventilated area when you mix your lye into your water. Having your personal safety equipment on, long sleeves, footwear, long pants. I am wearing an apron, and I have my hair pulled back and covered. Okay. Now, if you want to, you can strain your lye. If you find that if there's any residue in the lye, you can strain. So that lye is now mixing in with the oils. And I have no problem letting it sit a minute while I make sure that I'm completely set up with everything else I'm going to be doing or using. I keep a hot pitcher of water nearby to place my stick blender in when I'm not using it. I don't stick blend my liquid soap a lot. I don't think I do anyway. Excuse the noise now, it will be a little loud. And the stick blender I'm using is just a cheapy stick blender from Walmart. I've been soaping for about 2 years, hot process and cold process, and this is about my second, well, this is my second stick blender. They're not the best, most durable quality. Now with the using glycerin in the oils, the reactions can be pretty quick and it can volcano on you. So you want to be ready to remove your crock pot from the base and place it on your counter. So you want to have a free counter space to do that in case you need to. But then it calms down really easily. I'm not a fearful soaper, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of, I don't know, kind of fear-mongering that can occur in the soaping community when you're using lye. It can be a dangerous chemical to use, but common sense prevails. So just relax and enjoy the soap making process. And I'm one of those very strange people that actually loves the smell of the soap as it's being made without any fragrance. At this point, I'm going to add my powdered goat milk and get it nicely incorporated in there. I technically should have added it or had in mind to add it before my lye to my hot oils. But as they say, the best intentions of mice and men. I want to make sure that any clumps are really dissolved. So if you have to mash them against the side of your crock pot, go ahead and do that. I typically make my liquid soap with sugar, raw cane sugar that I buy in bulk, but I'm experimenting with not adding it to this one because I'm wondering if my liquid soap is coming out dark because of the added sugar. We'll see. It's kind of gotten a funky orange color from the goat milk powder. I like the goat milk powder because I feel that I can add a higher concentration of the goat milk fats rather than the liquid goat milk. So I'm just going to let that be for a few minutes and then I'll bring you back. Just about 4 minutes have passed. The mixture looks like it wants to keep separating on me. But it's definitely gotten a lot thicker. I haven't been stick blending this whole 4 minutes, just stirring. I actually left the lid on for a moment or two just to let it get hot. And of course you want to continually scrape down the edges of your bowl, make sure everything is incorporated. This certainly has a very interesting color, like a orangey yellow color. That'll be interesting to see what that winds up after dilution. So it's definitely thickening up now, as you can see. Almost like what they call the applesauce stage. And here's when you want to start making sure it doesn't volcano on you. Okay, so I have my glass measuring cup of hot water. I'm just going to take a little bit of this soap batter, place it in there. And dissolve that. So we know if it's cloudy, the soap needs to continue to cook. We can see that it is creating bubbles, so we're well on our way in the soaping process. But it is definitely cloudy. So you can see from the side here, it is definitely cloudy. It has like a yellowish, ambery hue. Spray a little alcohol to remove those bubbles. And you can kind of see the print in the paper underneath of my recipe, but it still is cloudier than I want it to be, so we're going to keep going. So I haven't been stick blending this whole time. I just don't feel that it's necessary, and I want to, of course, preserve my stick blender. So I stick blend for a bit and then let the soap batter rest, stick blend. This is actually the longest it's taken, and I believe it's because the Summer Bee calculator that I used for this particular recipe called for more water than I typically use in my liquid soap, but I'm not really worried about that, and the end result I think is still going to be fine. as it's bubbling up there. It's this beautiful kind of creamy caramel color. And right now it's at a really thick kind of creamy pudding stage. It may not get fully hard like a typical liquid soap paste because of the salt content. It's supposed to keep your soap paste rather malleable and soft, which is good for dilution. And this is my first soap making video. It's not really intended as a how-to, but just more to show how I've been experimenting with liquid soap making, and to show there's really nothing at all to be overly fearful of, as long as you're using common sense and just generally being safe, making sure you're not distracted with a lot on your mind or a lot going on around you. And what's the worst that can happen if it is a huge total flop? Well, you do have your wasted oils and product, so that can make a dent on your wallet, but otherwise failure can be a part of success, I think. The soap batter has the fragrance of bread baking, almost like a yeasty aroma, which, like I said before, I find rather pleasant. So I'm going to let that sit, and I will come back in just a minute or two. Okay, just about a minute has passed. We certainly have bubbles. We're making soap. Okay, I'm just going to get a glass measuring cup with some of my boiling water ready. So I'm curious about doing a clarity test. I know it's early on, but I just want to see what happens for my own personal education. So I'm going to go do that, and I will be right back.